Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome back once again to Morning Intentions. Today is Friday, October 17th. It's Friday, of course, as I just said, and as we all know. So that means it's time to reflect. It's our first week of hustle culture. And Annette, I was hoping we could start off by going back to our working definition of hustle culture. I want this drilled into our heads because as I've gone about my week and pondered and thought about our conversations that we've had, it's so easy to spot hustle culture wherever I look. Whether we're hustling for money, whether we're hustling for our worth, it is present everywhere I go. So I want us to all to know how to recognize it because we don't want to fall into that trap where we think we have to just go and go and go and run ourselves ragged just to get a basic level of respect, to get a basic level of kindness. Our value, being worthy of kindness and respect, to me, and I know for you, Annette, those should be the default, not things that we have to earn. As we shared from our value statement, we all have all the value we could ever have simply because we exist. We don't need to earn our value, achieve greater value, and our value can never be reduced or taken away. Our value is inherent. And when we all have value and we all have worth, kindness and respect is the way it should be, without question, without fail. And so, Annette, bringing us back to hustle culture, share our working definition.
Hustle culture is the belief that our value as human beings is measured by how much we accomplish, how busy we stay, or how much money we make. It's the mindset that says, I must keep producing, achieving, improving myself to be worthy of love, success, and respect. While it can appear as ambition or dedication, hustle culture often stems from an unconscious drive to earn one's sense of worth through external validation, such as recognition, financial success, or approval. It leads people to hustle for money as proof of success and to hustle for worth as proof of identity. True fulfillment arises when we remember that our worth is inherent, not earned, and our efforts can flow from purpose rather than pressure.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What keeps coming up for me, a few things.
Yes, this is your reflection time, Ada.
Well, this is your reflection time too, so if you have anything to share, just jump in.
Well, you were the one that had the big aha, though. So I am anxious to hear because it's been a few days since you had your aha. Have you been reflecting on your aha? And to remind everyone, you realized that you do fall into this hustle culture in your life.
Yes.
Well, we all do, but it sounds like maybe you're seeing yourself in this.
Definitely in the hustle for my worth category.
Was that always clear, or did that happen over the last few days where you realized it really wasn't hustling for success and money, it was more hustling for your worth?
I think the clarity came in the last few days. It was always something I felt. I think that's true about hustle culture and so many things that we talk about on Morning Intentions. We can feel the undercurrent. We can feel that there's something going on, but we can't name it or put our finger on it. And then when someone finally gives us the words, like you brought this hustle culture idea to me and said, let's talk about this, we can see it like, oh, that's what I have been feeling for years. But I didn't know it was a thing. I thought it was just me. And that's not true. It's not just me. It's a thing. And there's a lot of people who feel it, witness it. There are people who buy into it and say that's the way life should be. And other people say, I see it and I feel it. And that is far from how life should be. And I'm halfway into camp too. I saw it, I felt it, I didn't have a word for it, so I didn't know it was a real thing. But then I always go to, that's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should be, because you and I, we witness the aftermath of people who have been hustling for their worth and how tired they are and how worn out they feel. And I've felt that same tired. I've felt that same worn out. And so what I've been reflecting on, in addition to what's been my experience of hustling for my worth, do you know how we say you can project or be projected upon?
Yes.
Well, we can hustle for our worth, but then we could also set up the expectation for other people to hustle for their worth to us.
Could you explain that in maybe a hypothetical example?
Well, hustle culture isn't a one-way street. It's not we're, as the listener, or just we're as the person, are the ones hustling for our worth. Because this idea is out in the world, we may, unbeknownst to ourselves, set up expectations for other people where they need to hustle for their worth for us. Like, for us to see them worthy, they have to hustle in a way that we think they should.
So are you talking about like conditional acceptance or conditional quote unquote love? I don't think conditional love is love. So that's why I'm saying quote unquote love.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about maybe a partner subtly or not so subtly putting pressure on their partner to look a certain way or show up in a certain way?
Exactly that, yes.
Or kids that are taught that they need to be a certain way in order for their parents to love them or for society to accept them, all of that?
Yeah, because we can play into that game or into that idea, and we may not even realize it. We may have grown up in a family or in a world where you're in that hustle culture world. Your grades are your level of worth and value. How well you do at sports, that's your worth and your value. The potential career that you're going to have, that's your worth and value. And then, of course, that plays itself out. And then we may turn around and then say, well, okay, hold on, you didn't do well in school. You can say that to your kids. And you can fall into this thing where it's like, well, I want them to be successful. I want them to do well. But then it can be taken as, well, I have to then hustle for mom or dad's love, for mom or dad to care about me. And then the system just gets perpetuated because we project it onto one another back and forth until the end of time.
That's really tricky, isn't it, though? Because, so I've been a parent.
Yes, you have.
And I know that as part of my job as a parent is to encourage my children to do their very best, and knowing that their best is different in different days. So there's like probably a sweet spot there where we're encouraging our kids, we're teaching them that we don't want to put false limitations on their abilities or their future. So there's that. But then we wouldn't want it to be interpreted that, well, if I'm thinking you're capable of getting good grades, and so I'm encouraging you to get good grades, it wouldn't be, though, that I don't love you if you don't get good grades. And sometimes I think that message might get lost. And that would even be, individual kids could take it differently. Some kids might be more sensitive to what their parents might say. So I think it can get a little muddy.
If I may critique your parenting skills for a second.
Okay.
I think you did a really good job at that. Because I remember I got maybe 2 or 3 C's in my whole life. And you would tell me, Ada, if I thought you were a C student, I wouldn't care. I would say, I know you're doing the best you could. But I know you're not a C student. That's why this is not acceptable. That's why I know you can do better than what you're doing here.
And did you ever feel that you weren't worthy of love if you didn't get A's and B's, though? I mean, because
no,
but
not
maybe
at all.
another kid would. See, that's the thing is, I don't know if it was the relationship that you and I had, because our achievement in this society, and I think in some families, our achievement can become our identity.
Yes.
so that we are looked at and cared for from this space of what we do as opposed to who we are. It's hard. I think it's really tricky. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because there's hustle culture, and we know that the hustle culture can just burn us out. We have both felt burned out, and I think that's why I think everyone is touched by hustle culture.
I do too.
And then also, we've worked with numbers of clients through the years. They have been hustling either for success and or hustling for their worth. And you can see it in people's eyes where they've done the best they can. They have tried their heart out and they keep on hustling. And that's where I was bringing it up and thinking about it since we've made that podcast about the goalposts seem to move. Okay, if I do this for my family, then everyone's going to be happy. Well, everyone's happy for a little while, and then we got to move those goalposts again. How do we, as a society, starts with one person. So how do we as individuals learn that we don't have to accept this message that we aren't what we do? We are who we are, and that's enough.
For me personally, I think everything starts at home, meaning everything starts within ourselves. When we can go within and look at the influence hustle culture has had on us, whether someone had their expectations about us, whether we've fallen into that way of thinking or that mindset that we need to hustle for our worth, going within and seeing how has that affected me. And then also becoming aware of where are our actions, where are our thoughts and our feelings coming from? Are they starting with, I have to hustle for my worth? When we can start to make that awareness, we can start to see, well, if I'm expecting this in myself, the way I talk to people, I'm setting up this expectation that they have to hustle for their worth with me.
That's also tricky too, Ada, I think. I mean, I think you're on the right track, but
I think you can feel it though.
You can, because it's kind of like this always on mentality.
And there's a lot of pressure, and it's not that nice or kind. And we always say the metric for whether something is coming from love is if you feel peace about it. I've never felt peace in hustle culture. I've never felt peace with all those expectations. So taking that to the next level, I think we can start to build our awareness and build our awareness about our expectations for ourselves and our expectations of others, and just ask ourselves, when I have this thought, when I have this feeling, do I feel peace about this? Do I feel peace about how I'm measuring my value or someone else's value? Our hearts will tell us if our expectations are coming from hustle culture, we won't feel peace. For today and for this weekend, let's all reflect on our experience with hustle culture. How has it felt to hustle for success? How has it felt to hustle for our worth? Have we set up expectations for other people? Have expectations been set up for us? The whole experience of basing our value on what we achieve and not recognizing that our value exists simply because we exist. Thank you so much for joining us today and this week. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you Monday.
See you then.
I'm wanting something more, and I'm ready to begin. A life of happiness awaits me. It starts today when